Often when we are testing our code, we're focused on testing what happened. This model changed, this event was fired, things like that. But every once in a while, you have a test where you want to assert something did not happen. Now, depending on what that is, it could be quite easy. If it's something like a mailable or a notification or an event, there's built-in assertions to say those things did not happen. But what about a scenario where you want to assert that a model was not updated? And you want to assert that nothing changed on this model, not just a specific field or specific value, but that nothing wrote to that model in the database. How would we do that? And why would we want to do that? Well, let's take a look at an example, and I'm going to walk you through a scenario and how I like to do that, because there's a number of ways you could do it, but here's an approach I find that works well. So I have a test partially set up here, and you can see that it's a Stripe webhook test, right? So webhooks, like with Stripe, which is a payment provider, somebody makes a payment, it fires this webhook to your application to let you know that they paid. But with a lot of these webhook providers, they say they will fire the webhook at least once. So what that means is they could fire it twice. And so you have to be able on the application side to detect this is a duplicate. I'm going to throw it away. I'm not going to log a second payment because this really is just one payment. So in this particular case, it's not payment related, but it has to do with account onboarding. So I'm setting up a user. I'm setting up their Stripe account ID, and I'm setting the status field Stripe onboarded to true. And then here's the job we're testing, process Stripe webhook, and I'm firing this event account updated and the same account number. So when we handle this job, I want to refresh the user. And in this case, because again, it's the same account and I've already flagged them as true, that's sort of like the status in my job to know like, oh, I've already processed this. I'm going to just ignore everything else. How would we here assert that nothing on the user changed? Now, if we were just asserting that this one field didn't change, we could just set that value at the beginning, assert it at the end, and everything's good. But in this user model, maybe I'm setting a handful of fields, and I don't want to make a really brittle test and test that these 4 fields are not changing, because then down the road, what if I add a 5th test? I have to remember to come back here and add that. With eloquent models, especially those that use timestamps, which they do by default, we have another approach, and this is what I want to show. I can set updated at to a specific date. And I'm going to pick a date in the past because then I don't even have to like fake carbon or anything like that. So I'll just say, this happened on January 15th, 2025 at 11:11 and 30 seconds. All right. So with that in place, now I can come here and I can just assert that that value is the same. Because if any field at all changes on that user model, Eloquent is going to automatically roll that updated at value forward. It's going to change it to whatever the current time is. And I know the current time can't possibly be 2025 because that's in the past. I'm recording this in the year 2026. So this is the way I would do it. Assert same. And I'm going to just use that same exact value. And then the thing I'm asserting is user updated at. And then because this is going to be a carbon instance, I would do something like this, right? And so now that assertion, as long as Eloquent keeps working the way Eloquent is supposed to work, and Laravel has tests for that, if that updated at value changes for any reason to any other value, my test will fail, and I will know that something is wrong in my job, and I have to look at that. So this is a simple approach. You might think of other ways of doing it. Like, maybe you think, well, I would just fake the user model save method. I have never found anything good comes from faking Eloquent models, methods. So I don't like that approach, but it is one way you could do it. I think this is a nice, simple approach. So I just wanted to share that. Sometimes, again, testing what didn't happen can be just as important as testing what did.